This video covers report period 2, week 3 homework for Spelman and Morehouse. On the first night of this week's homework, you're reviewing LCM and GCF problems. When we were reading LCM and GCF problems, we want to pay close attention to what the question is asking us for. Let's model question 1. A music club had amplifiers with 40 cables and speakers with 60 cables. Determine the greatest number of identical sets of equipment they can prepare, with each set having the same number of cables for both amplifiers and speakers. In this question, I can see that I'm being asked to determine the greatest number of identical sets, which means that I'm splitting up the amplifiers and the speakers into groups. This is a good hint that I'm looking for the GCF, or splitting up my numbers into groups with the same amount in each group. We'll go ahead and model creating our GCF tables, or our factor tables. I want to think about the numbers that I can multiply to produce a product of 40. 1 times 40 is 40, 2 times 20 is 40, 4 times 10 is 40, and 5 times 8 is 40. I'll do the same thing for 60. 1 times 60, 2 times 30, 3 times 20, 4 times 15, 5 times 12, 6 times 10, and now I have my factor pairs. In class, we've talked a lot about how we can take the factors, like 1, 2, 3, and 4, and use division to determine whether or not they match a given product. For example, 60 divided by 1 is equal to 60. 60 divided by 2 is equal to 30. These division sentences can help us can help us determine the factors for any given product. Now I'm ready to write out my final answer. I'll circle the greatest number that appears in both of my tables, the greatest common factor, which is 20, and that means that I can create 20 sets, because I can split 40 into 20 groups and I can split 60 into 20 groups. In those sets, we will have 2 of the amplifiers, because if I split up 40 amplifiers into 20 groups, there'll be 2 per group. And I will have 3 speakers. And I know it's 3 speakers because if I split up 60 into 20 groups, there's 3 per group. We always want to make sure our final answer includes both the number of kits, so the number of groups, and the amount inside of each group. So make sure you're thorough and answer each part of the question. Let's look at question 2. A science lab has containers of chemicals in packs of 56 and 72. Determine the largest number of identical packs they can create, with each pack having the same number of containers. Once again, in this question, we're taking 2 chemical groups, 56 chemicals and 72 chemicals, and we're splitting them up into groups. That's a good hint that we're finding the greatest common factor, because factors are numbers that can be multiplied to make a given number. In this case, 56 and 72. We also see that we're being asked to determine the largest, which is another good hint that this is a GCF problem. I'll let you solve question 2 on your own. You're welcome, if you're watching this video, to skip question 3. You can tell me that you watched the video on your homework. And I want to model question 4 so that we can review the LCM. Question 4 says, candy bags for movie night come with 15 chocolates and 18 gummy bears. Determine the least number of chocolates and gummy bears needed to fill the bags with an equal number of each type of candy. This time, I have a few hints that I'm looking for the LCM. First is that I know that I'm buying candy bags for a movie night that come with 15 chocolates and 18 gummy bears. I want to be able to fill the bags with an equal number of each type of candy. And to do that, I need to figure out the least number of packages of chocolates and packages of gummy bears that I can purchase. Since I'm looking for the least number I can purchase to create an equal amount, I know that I'm finding the LCM. I want to go ahead and count, find the multiples of each number, and I need to continue finding multiples until I end up with a situation where I've got the same number on both lists. And in this case, that would be 90. So the least number of chocolates and gummy bears that I could have to fill the bags with an equal amount would be 90. So 90 chocolates, and I'm going to write GB for gummy bears. So I would use 90 chocolates and gummy bears. This question didn't ask how many bags of each I would have to buy, but you can see that you would have to buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bags of the chocolates and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags of the gummy bears. Those are the LCM and GCF problems. I'm going to link some extra resources in the note of this video for anyone who might need more study time with the LCM and the GCF. Let's go ahead and look at Tuesday's homework. The first thing that you're being asked to do on Tuesday's homework is to draw a horizontal and a vertical number line from -10 to +10. Don't overthink it. I'm literally just asking you to review how to draw a horizontal number line with 0 on the middle and your positives and negatives, and a vertical number line with 0 in the middle and your positives and negatives. Using your notes from class that we took in your notebooks would be a great resource for these two questions on Tuesday. And questions 3 and 4, you're just being asked to describe what is a positive number and what is a negative number. More specifically, they want to know where those numbers are located on the vertical and horizontal number lines. So, a sentence might look like this. Positive numbers are blank than 0. So you want to ask yourself, are they greater than 0 or less than 0? They are located to the blank of 0. So in this blank, I would put right or left, and to the blank of 0. So in this blank, I would put above or below. And so I guess we don't really need to the. We could just write and above or below, because they're asking you to describe where are the positive numbers on a vertical. So remember, vertical is up and down, and a horizontal number line. You would do the same thing here for question 4. In question 5, all you need to do is plot the dots on the number line that you drew on the last page. So this homework should be pretty straightforward because you're really just taking the time to reflect on and summarize the notes we took in class. Let's take a look at Wednesday night. On Wednesday night's homework, you're being asked to state whether you agree or disagree with a set of statements. That's question 1A, B, C, and question 2. Let's take a look at question 1 first. A temperature of 35 degrees is as cold as a temperature of -35 degrees. 35 degrees, -35 degrees. And so the question is, are these as cold? Are they the same? And so you just want to start your sentence here with I agree or I disagree because. Is that statement true? That 35 degrees Celsius is the same thing as -35 degrees Celsius. And that's a great sentence starter for everything on this page. You're just determining if this statement has used positive or negative numbers correctly. On the next page, you're taking the opportunity to compare positive and negative numbers. I'm going to model how I would start with question 3. On question 3, you're being asked to number the orders from least to greatest, but you have a number line to help you. Let's look at 3.5. I know that 3.5 belongs halfway between 3 and 4. So I'm just going to put a tick mark at 3.5. I'll cross it off so I know I plotted it. I see -1 is already on the number line for me here, -1. I know that 4.8 is located between 4 and 5. It's a little bit closer to 5, so I'll just plot it here. If you go through these steps with all the numbers listed, you plot them on the number line, you'll end up with a list from least to greatest. Because remember that as we move right on a number line, our numbers get larger. And so by plotting the points on the number line, you're answering the question, which is least to greatest list. In question 4, you can also use the number line to help you. You're just determining whether the inequality is true or false. So in A, is -2 actually less than +4? And explaining your thinking. The last thing I'll cover in this video is Thursday night's homework. But on Thursday night's homework, you're really doing more of the same. You're taking the opportunity to make comparisons of real-world situations. I'm going to model question 2. In question 2, you are using greater than or less than symbols to compare numbers. You might also have an inequality symbol, or an equal sign to compare each pair. So for example, when you're looking at 12 and 19, you know that 19 is greater than 12 or 12 is less than 19. If you're looking at a question that's a little bit more complicated, like for example, 6.050 and 6.05, you want to think about something like place value to help you. So in this case, I know the 0 here is a placeholder, and 6.05 is equal to 6.05. So you're just comparing these numbers to determine which is least or greatest. One trick that might be helpful is when we have fractions, remember that we can always convert them to decimals. So you could do 9 divided by 40 in a calculator, which might make the comparison a little bit quicker for you. You have more least to greatest questions in question 3, and more questions asking you to interpret negative and positive numbers in real-world situations in question 4. The only other thing I want to review quickly is the definition of opposite. Remember, opposites are the same distance from 0 on the opposite side of 0. So let's say I had the number 3. The opposite of number 3 would be -3. If I had the number -5, the opposite of -5 would be 5. And so you just want to write the opposite of each number in question 5. That should cover this week's homework. Hopefully it's pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions, please make sure that you're checking in with me before the end of the week.